Now the Moncton Tigers are back again here, and I want to let you know you're going to be seeing the Moncton Tigers a lot for the rest of NHL 24. But we're back once again, and we're going to try to win a Stanley Cup here. But we're going to do something that we've never done before. We're going to win a Stanley Cup with the Moncton Tigers, but we're not going to have a goaltender. I'm going to rebuild this team and try to win us a Stanley Cup without a goaltender. Now what do I mean we're not going to have a goaltender? Obviously, if I have a 0 overall goaltender in between the pipes, there's no way we win a Stanley Cup. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a 60 overall goaltender. We're going to look through the free agents here, and we're going to find ourselves a 60 overall goaltender. This guy right here. Now he can be our goaltender for this season, and every season I simulate, we're going to add 1 overall to our goaltender. So for season number 1, we could have Westerholm here, and then next season we're going to be allowed to have a 61 overall on the team, and then the season after that a 62, 63, 64 as the years go on. So once we get 10 years down the line, we're going to be allowed to have a 70 overall goaltender in between the pipes for us. So as I said, Westerholm, you're going to be our goaltender for year number 1 here. So I'm going to go to free agency and I'm going to sign you. It's going to be a 1-year deal, and you know what, I'm feeling generous here. $950K for 1 season. You're going to be our goaltender. But when it comes to some of the other moves we can make for this upcoming season, we're actually not going to be doing too much. Now the reason we're not going to be making a ton of moves in season number 1 is, why would we? We have to understand that we're not going to be winning with a 60 overall goaltender. We're probably not going to win with a 61, and we're probably not going to win with a 62. But in saying that, we also don't have enough assets to trade away in order to build a competent team here. So we're going to tank for 3 seasons. But of course, it's not tanking. We're just not trying to win games. We're not blatantly losing, but we're not trying to win games. And as I've mentioned before, if you want to see your name on one of these players right here, then make sure you become a member down below. You can become a Stick on the Ice legend, so make sure you hit that join button. If you can't find the join button right beside the subscribe button, and if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel, then just click the link in the description down below. So with all that being said, let's go win ourselves the Stanley Cup. But obviously not in season 1. We're competitively tanking here. So in our quest to win a Stanley Cup without a goaltender, what happened in year number 1? No surprises, an 0-82 record. We didn't score a single goal, and apparently we only allowed 848 goals. I know for a fact that stat is incorrect. If you're allowing 20 goals per game, there's no way you only allowed 800. When it comes to our scoring, absolutely non-existent. We can give a shout to a couple of these guys here. Redmond's picking up 14 penalty minutes. Miles is picking up 13. We got Jimmy Vesey picking up 11, and then Joe Hendry, he's going to cap it off with 10 penalty minutes. Some big time performers this season. When it comes to goaltending, Wolf, I mean, he picked up 25 losses, which is the best on the team. But when it comes to Westerholm here, 57 losses, an 888 save percentage, and a 780 goals against. So maybe we actually only allowed 800 goals, because I completely forgot we didn't have a 0 overall in between the pipes. We had a 60 overall, so that does make the difference. But anyways, it's no surprise that we're not going to be winning a Stanley Cup here. Shout out to the New York Rangers, Stanley Cup champions, taking the Vegas Golden Knights down a sweep. And now it's time for the real rebuild to begin. So with our immaculate competitive tank, ideally we're going to be getting the first overall pick here, and we're not going to be dropping from 1 to 3, but I can almost guarantee that happens. Oh, we're actually sticking with the first overall pick. Now if we can get a franchise potential player here, that would be ideal. Now I'm not going to lie, if I see a franchise potential player projected number 1, there's a very high probability I draft this guy and then trade him away. So what are we going to be getting? We actually don't know. I'm still going to draft this guy. Like, he's basically guaranteed to have at least medium elite potential. I think the odds of him having franchise are incredibly low. Okay, a win is a win is a win is a win. That man is being traded. I mean, hear me out here. I actually have a pretty good plan. We just got a franchise potential player. Now if I package up that man with a 3rd round pick, the 67th overall, would you be willing to give me Connor Bedard? Now if I can somehow pull this deal off, Connor Bedard is going to be coming to the Moncton Tigers. They're going to say no to that. I'll give you 2 3rd round picks. Like, I'll give you 2 3rd round picks here. I might even give you a 2nd rounder for next season if you're willing to accept this. Okay, now is this cheating? That is up for debate. You might say this is cheating, but if I can trade this 2nd round pick to Chicago and we can get Connor Bedard, that would be incredible. I give up the 199th overall pick here. So we give up this franchise potential defenseman, a 2nd round pick for next season, and the 199th overall for this season, and we get Connor Bedard. This is well worth it. I will give up 2 7th round picks. I do not care. If I have to give up 2 7th round picks to get Connor Bedard, I'm willing to do that. They're still saying no to that. What else do I really have to give up here? Do I have to give up the 100th overall pick because I'm willing to do so? I'm going to add that into the deal. They're saying no. I'll give up our 3rd round pick for this season. I really don't care what else I have to give up. I'm not going to be giving up anything valuable. They're saying no to that. I'll give you a 7th round pick as well. Here's the 199th overall. I'm not getting a great prospect there. Give me Connor Bedard. Now, I might be completely finessing the game right here, getting a guy like Connor Bedard, but I do not care. Connor Bedard on the Moncton Tigers. I actually traded for this man. The first time in NHL 24 I've ever traded for him. We are in the final month of this game's lifespan, and I finally traded for Connor Bedard. He's a 90 overall entering his second season, 85 points in his rookie campaign, 39 goals, 46 assists, and I gave up a franchise potential defenseman for him. Bro's a 77 overall two-way defender, and he really wasn't that good. When he played in Russia, he had 14 points in 55 games. I mean, more than likely he's going to turn into a star player. Like, he has medium franchise potential. But we got 90 overall Connor Bedard. I'm speechless. I never thought in a million years I would ever trade for Connor Bedard, but here we are. And it was well worth it. Now, more than likely, the rest of the draft's going to be very forgettable here, and I don't think we really care. Like, we got Connor Bedard. We're going to take that. So I already know for a fact, late in the draft here, we're not getting any amazing prospects. But if I can package up these 3 picks right here and get 2 third-rounders from the Anaheim Ducks, it's going to be well worth it. This might have been the greatest draft in history, securing a franchise potential player and then flipping him over to the Chicago Blackhawks for Connor Bedard. What I thought was impossible for basically all of NHL 24, I pulled off in one of the final videos. Trading for Connor Bedard. So he's going to be the franchise centerpiece of this team, and we're going to win a Stanley Cup with this man, even if we don't have a goaltender. So not too much is going to happen during the re-sign phase. Like, we have a bunch of 0 overall players. We're not going to be bringing any of them back, but instead we're going to be making some moves in free agency here. Now, what are these moves going to be? I'm not 100% sure yet, but it's probably going to look a lot like this. Joe Pavelski, I'm going to give you a 1-year deal at $8.2 million, and at the trade deadline, I'll trade you away at 50% retained and we'll get some assets. Brandon Montour, I'll actually bring you in to play some minutes for us. I'm going to give you $8.4 million for the next 5 years. I'm gonna have to overpay you a little bit considering we didn't win a single game last season. Nobody's gonna want to come to this team. We can get Dylan DeMello somewhat cheap here, so 5.1 for the next 3 years. I feel like that's pretty fair for him. And then of course we have to bring stick on the ice legend Max Domi. No doubt about this one. We're gonna do 5.8 million for the next 6 seasons. He's gonna be playing on the top line alongside Connor Bedard, and then within 2 seasons he's gonna be traded away. Brady Shea is gonna be another guy we bring to the team here. That's gonna be $5 million for the next 6 seasons. He's gonna play some big time minutes for us. But obviously we have some very important pieces that we do have to bring to the team here, and it's one of these goaltenders right here. So we're going to bring in this 61 overall. We'll give him a 2-year deal, $850K, and then we'll bring in another 61 overall. And then after bringing this man to the team right here, that's going to be our goaltending tandem. As long as there's still a 61 overall by the beginning of the season. If not, we'll have to bring in somebody else. So I'm not going to show every single signing I make here, but I'm going to show these next 3. Sean Walker, it's going to be 3 years at $2.6 million. Alex Wenberg, we're going to pick you up as well. It's going to be 2.5 for the next 4 years. I think that's pretty fair for you. And then Dakota Josh, where you're going to be the final piece of this team. We're going to do a 5-year deal at $2.4 million. So outside of these signings right here, I'm just going to let the CPU cook with the rest of the team. Just cut to the chase. We're not trying to win in year number 2 here. I want to get a couple more good rookies. Now this season is going to be a competitive tank for the team, and I'm not expecting us to really do too much. Connor Bedard, Max Domi, and Joe Pavelski are going to hold it down the first line. Ideally, Max Domi gets up to like an 87 overall by the beginning of next season. Then we can capitalize on that trade value. William Carrier, I'm actually going to move you down to the second line here. Dakota Joshua, you can play some second line minutes here. Maybe a couple of these guys can develop a bit more, and then it'll increase their trade value. Who knows? When it comes to the defense, I'm not really expecting you guys to do too much. Just hold it down. Like, at the end of the day, we have 2 61 overall goaltenders. We're not winning this season. However, we should win a couple games. Maybe 7, maybe 8 this season. But at the end of the day, I'm not really expecting too much. Alright, so it's pretty clear the Moncton Tigers aren't a good team. I think we're all well aware of this. But for some reason, the Moncton Tigers are actually better than I was expecting. We're 28th in the entire league at the trade deadline, ahead of the St. Louis Blues. I didn't need to see that. I don't know why we're ahead of the St. Louis Blues, but we are. Connor Bedard, he's got 78 points in 63 games. Probably why we're ahead of St. Louis. Bro is lighting the lamp this season. Joe Pavelski's been amazing. So is Max Domi. Sprong's been not bad. I mean, he's minus 35. Montour's minus 27. And our goaltenders, they have not been good either. But you know what? This team's looking a lot better than I was expecting. And Joe Pavelski, he's got some trade value. We're going to capitalize on that. So this is the deal we're going to do. It's going to be Joe Pavelski and 2 third-round picks over to the Boston Bruins. We're going to get Pavel Zacha. He's going to play some top-line minutes. And we're also going to get Luke Misa in this deal. Luke Misa, as long as he develops, he's going to be a great player for us. So I think this is the right move. We're planning for the future. We're going to be really bad for the rest of the season because we just lost one of our best players. So ideally, we can get the first overall pick. So to finish out the season, Pavel Zacha is going to play on the right side, even though he is a center/left winger. I want him playing top line minutes. Max Domi, we're going to have you play left wing here, 84 overall. I'm really expecting you to be up to at least an 87 by the beginning of next season. And then once you are, I'm immediately trading you away. So after the moves at the trade deadlines, no surprise that the Moncton Tigers weren't great, but somehow we are better than the St. Louis Blues. This game infuriates me so much, but the one thing I do want to point out here, the goals allowed per game here. Now our team obviously didn't have a great defense. We allowed 315 goals. The Nashville Predators allowed 310. We only allowed 5 more goals than the Nashville Predators, and we have 61 overalls in between the pipes. They have a 90 overall UC Saros. So once we sort out our offense and put in a good defense, I think we might be able to win a Stanley Cup with a 65 overall goaltender. Connor Bedard was amazing, 96 points, 51 goals, 45 assists. When it comes to Pavel Zacha, he picked up 12 points after being acquired in 19 games. Not the end of the world, but I was expecting a bit more. Max Domi, he was great, up to a 65 overall, only an 84 overall though. That's a bit disappointing. I was really thinking he was going to progress to like an 87. But you know what? We haven't simulated till next season yet, so we don't know what's going to happen. The Colorado Avalanche are going to be winning the Stanley Cup, taking down the Tampa Bay Lightning in 6 games. If Max Domi's an 84 overall heading into next season, I'm going to be very disappointed. But you know what? He still has time to progress over the offseason. You never know what's going to happen here. Ideally though, we can get the first overall pick, and that's not going to be happening. We're going to be dropping from 4 to 5, while the Florida Panthers, they're going to be getting the first overall pick, jumping from 9 to 1. Yeah, not what I was hoping for. Okay, so hear me out. This guy, unknown potential, projected number 1 overall. Do I trade for him in the hopes that he's a franchise potential player? This is a very big risk. Like, we're going to have to give up our 5th overall pick and probably a couple other assets. Max Domi, he's up to an 88 overall at 30 years old. He's got 3 X factors. We're going to make this deal. We're going to trade for the first overall pick in the hopes that this guy's going to have franchise potential. And you know what? Based on how much trade value the first overall pick has, I think this guy might have franchise potential. Because normally when there's a franchise potential player projected number 1, the draft pick has a bit more value than usual. However, in order to get this deal done, we are going to have to free up some money here. I'll take on a bad contract. Sam Bennett, you're about to become a UFA here, so I'll take on your contract. This will make the money work, and then we're going to get the first overall pick here. But on top of getting the first overall pick, you better give me a couple other assets. Like, I'm giving you 88 overall Max Domi and the 5th overall pick. So can I get a 3rd and a 2nd as well? They're going to be saying no to that. I'll take the 3rd rounder out. Can I get this deal done? Yes, we can. So we got the first overall pick entering this draft. We're going to pray that for back-to-back seasons now, the unknown prospect is going to have franchise potential. Nah, ain't no way that just happened. Unknown prospects projected number 1 overall are glitches in the game. There is no way I've gotten a franchise potential player in back-to-back drafts now. And there's no way I'm trading a franchise potential player in back-to-back drafts now. Because as we know, these franchise potential players, they have a ridiculous amount of trade value. Connor McDavid, what are the odds? Like, hypothetically, this franchise potential player and Sean Walker over to the Edmonton Oilers for Connor McDavid. Yeah, this video is completely broken. Here's the 202nd overall pick. Give me Connor McDavid. Connor Bedard, you're going to have to play out of position, but that's perfectly fine because you and Connor McDavid are going to be playing alongside each other. Here's 2 7th round picks. You can have the lucrative 7th round picks. You know what? I'll give you another player. Who do you want? Are you interested in William Carrier? I will give you William Carrier. I really don't care. They're going to be saying no to that. I'll throw in a 3rd round pick. I don't care if I have to give up a 3rd round pick. We are really bringing in Connor McDavid. Here's a 3rd round pick. Connor McDavid and Connor Bedard. I have now traded for both of these guys in one video. Now, since the rest of the draft is pretty weak here, we're not going to get anything valuable. I think I can get a 2nd and 3rd rounder from the Buffalo Sabres. I'll give up a 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th round pick for these 2 assets right here. They're going to be saying no to that. I'll take out the 2nd rounder. How about I give you a 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th, and you give me a 3rd, 4th, and 5th? I feel like that's a pretty fair deal. We're exchanging draft picks here. It's going to be working out for both sides. But at the end of the day, who cares what happened? I got Connor McDavid and Connor Bedard. Yeah, there's no way this team's not winning a Stanley Cup in the next 5 years. I don't care if we don't have defense. Our offense is going to be unstoppable, and we only have 2 players. All right, Sam Bennett, you are being very difficult. Here is $6 million for the next 3 years. This is the 3rd contract I've offered this man. Just accept one. Okay, we're doing a sign and trade with Sam Bennett. I'm going to give you $6.3 million, and then I'm going to trade you away. This is actually ridiculous. Here's $6.3 million. Just say yes to one of these deals. Thank you. Maybe I'll keep him on the team though, because he does have an X factor, and then him on the top line alongside Connor McDavid and Connor Bedard. That's going to be magic. So this is what my plan is. One more season of competitive tanking. Brad Marchand, we're going to bring you in. It's going to be Brad Marchand, Connor McDavid, Connor Bedard on that top line. Marchand's going to be traded at the trade deadline. We're going to get a handful of assets for him. But after this season, that's when the real rebuild begins. Now, if I can find some other players on reasonable deals or guys I think are going to progress a ton, I'll sign them to the team. But other than that, I don't expect us to make too many moves here in free agency. I'll make a deal like this. Nick Hague, here's 2.6 for the next 3 years. As a left pairing defenseman, that's not the end of the world for us. Borgren, I can give you a 3x3. That's actually not too bad. You're going to be a good defensive defenseman. And clearly this team needs defensive help. And now this might be the best deal of the day. Knizhov, $2 million for the next 4. Now, obviously, there is one thing we have to do before we head into next season, and that's giving these big-time players some big-time deals. We're going to start with Connor Bedard. Now, this is a deal I can live with. It's going to be 11.5 for the next 8 years, and I'm kind of hoping Connor McDavid's going to sign something pretty similar. We're almost going to be doing the exact same deal. So Connor McDavid, I'll give you a bit more than Connor Bedard. How does 11.7 million sound for the next 8 years? We're keeping our 2 franchise stars around. Yeah, this team's not going to lose. So although the team is a bit weak here, like the fourth line has a lot to be desired. Look at that top line. Connor Bedard, Connor McDavid, Brad Marchand. Brad Marchand, you can be traded at the trade deadline, but let's see what you can do with us until then. Our defense is looking way better, all 80 overalls, and we have a handful of defensive defensemen. Hopefully that's going to be saving us. These 262 overall goaltenders, even though we have a bunch of superstars in this team, I still think it's going to be a struggle. Now I was expecting this to be one more year of tanking, but nope. Third in the entire league, a 37-23-9 record. Who needs defense? We got offense. This team might be allowing like 5 goals per game, but don't worry, we're scoring 6 here. McDavid, 79 points. Brad Marchand, 79 points. Connor Bedard, 78 points. We are lighting the lamp this season. Yeah, this team can't play any sort of defense, but look at our 62 overall goaltender, 30 wins, 2 shots, a 905 and a 310, an absolute legend right here. However, we all know we're not going for a Stanley Cup this season. We got to make sure we're building the team for next season. So Brad Marchand, although we're third in the entire league, I'm going to trade you away here. Okay, so I'm cooking up a massive deal here. Brad Marchand, 50% retained over to the Carolina Hurricanes. We get Brett Pesce and a 3rd round pick. They're saying no to that. Can I at least go 1 for 1 here? I actually have to give up draft capital. Okay, that's a bit OD. But here's the 3rd round pick. I don't really care what we're giving up here. I want Brett Pesce to join the team, and it looks like a 3rd round pick is going to make the difference. Now, the reason that we acquired Brett Pesce is because Dylan DeMel is going to get traded away, and so is Paul Vazaka. And you know what's really wild right now? Our 1st round pick for this season, basically no trade value whatsoever. Our 1st round pick for next season, yeah, that has a lot of trade value, and we're going to capitalize on it. So all of that's going to be sent over. I want to try to get Mason McTavish and Cutter Gauthier. I don't think this package is going to be enough, but you know what? We have a handful of 2nd round picks, and we're going to utilize them. So here's a 2nd round pick from the Florida Panthers, and it looks like that's going to be enough. 2 elite power forwards, and we still got a ton of money to work with. Also, I might as well just thank the Anaheim Ducks for signing Cutter Gauthier long term. They locked him down for a handful of years at $6.3 million. That's going to be a good price, especially if he's playing first line minutes. So after the trade deadline, we were incredibly bad. Like, we didn't deserve to make the playoffs here. 8th in the entire league, a 44-28-10 record. But you know what? I'll take a postseason performance. I believe we had one of the best offenses in the entire league. Okay, if we want to be winning a Stanley Cup, we have to have the best offense here. Our defense is going to be one of the worst. It's no surprise about that. But we have to outscore our problems here, and we have to be outscoring them by over a goal per game. Connor Bedard, you were incredible this season. 97 points leading the way. Connor McDavid, 94. But I'm very interested in what Cutter Gauthier did, playing with these 2 greats right here. 10 points in 13 games. Bro, that's just disappointing. But you are up to an 88 overall with 4 X factors now. Okay, I take it back. You're that guy. Mason McTavish, you're looking decent on the 2nd line. This team's showing potential right now. Obviously, the goaltending is absolutely cooked right now. But you know what? I don't really care too much. We're 8th in the entire league. Clearly, we can compete with the best here. We have the Carolina Hurricanes in the 1st round. They finished 1st in the entire league. If we got by Carolina, not only is that going to be the biggest shock of all time, but then I'll actually believe in the core we're building. Now, I don't feel like this is much of a surprise. Carolina's got a commanding 3-1 series lead. We're not going to be bouncing back from that, allowing 6 goals in game number 5 here. We have to somehow build the greatest defense of all time. Allow the fewest goals per game while also having basically no goaltender. Is that even possible? I have no clue, but we're going to accomplish this task today. And it's obviously not going to be happening this season. We're out in 5 games. So we might not have gotten out the 1st round this season, but I can guarantee you that's going to change next year. The defense is going to be looking a lot better. The forward core is going to be looking better. We're going to make a lot of small improvements to this team. Then we're going to be ready to win. So I know early in rebuilds, the drafts are usually a bit disappointing, but man, have they been awful in this simulation. We're just trading all these picks away. Give me a 3rd rounder from Arizona. I'll take on Kyle Palmieri's contract. I mean, we're not going to re-sign him. Boston, you want to give me a 3rd round pick? I'll definitely do that. But so far, the drafts have just not been it. I mean, at the end of the day, what am I talking about? I've gotten 2 franchise potential players in the first 2 drafts, and then I flipped them for Connor McDavid and Connor Bedard. Yeah, I guess basically just ignore what I'm saying. So you remember how I said Mason McTavish and Cutter Gauthier are going to be important pieces for this team in the future? Yeah, plans have changed. Mason McTavish are being sent over to the Ottawa Senators. We're bringing in Brady Tkachuk here. Brady Tkachuk, you're going to play on the 1st line, and Cutter Gauthier, I'm going to move you down to the 2nd line because you have a much better line fit there, and it just makes a lot more sense. So they're going to say no to that first package. I feel like a 3rd round from the Arizona Coyotes is enough to make the difference here. They're saying no to that. I'll throw in a 2nd round pick instead, and that should be enough for us to get Brady Tkachuk. Okay, I'm not going to lie. I feel like Ottawa's bugging a little bit here. Here's a third round pick from the Chicago Blackhawks. Based on trade value, we're given more than enough here, and they're finally saying yes. So that's a big time move for us, but we're still not done. So we've had Daniel Sprong for the longest time here, and it looks like it's time for him to get an extension. He's up to an 87 overall, and Bro's been looking great, so why not keep him on the team? Here's 6.8 for the next 6 seasons, and then we're going to make a deal with Sam Bennett. And when I say we're making a deal with Sam Bennett, I mean we're trading him away. So I'm thinking this deal is probably going to be 1-for-1, but if we can get a third round pick, that would be amazing. Yeah, they're going to say no to that, but we just have to include a 7th rounder. Okay, I was fully expecting us to just go 1-for-1 there, but the fact that we can get a third round pick in this deal is actually massive. So what the Moncton Tigers need right now is a bit more playmaking when it comes to the bottom 6, and that's exactly what Thomasino is providing for us, so we're going to acquire him here. So if we bring a playmaker to the team, what does that playmaker need? Well, they need a sniper, and that's where we're going to get Matt Coronado here. He's going to be picked up from the Calgary Flames. I'm actually really surprised to say no to that deal right there, so I'll give you 2 third-round picks instead of a 3rd and a 4th rounder, and even that's not going to be enough for Matt Coronado. Honestly, I think that's a bit disrespectful. I feel like we're giving you more than enough here. So here's another 3rd round pick. Yeah, I'm wildin'. So we have $9.6 million to work with, so we can make 2 somewhat big signings. The first is going to be Jamie Benn, $4.4 million on a 1-year deal, and then we'll just find one other player to bring onto the team. Sam Steele, I feel like you can be a good enough bottom 6 piece for us, so how about we do $2.2 million for the next 3 years? I feel like that's a pretty good contract for you. So we finished 8th in the entire league last season, and I'm expecting bigger things. Connor McDavid, Connor Bedard, Brady Tkachuk on the first line, Cutter Gaucher, Dylan Strome, Daniel Sprong on the second. Our bottom 6 is looking way better. Our defense is looking basically the exact same. I know I said I was going to change up the defense, but you know what? We got a bunch of great defensive defensemen here. These are the guys I want. And then when it comes to goaltending, we're getting a 1 overall jump. We got 2 63 overalls. Hopefully these guys can perform like the 62s did. So I think this might be the year we do it. We're currently sitting first in the entire league at the trade deadline, a 41-19-3 record. I don't plan on making any changes to this team. We are scoring a ton of goals, almost 4 goals per game. We're allowing a lot of goals though, 3.4 allowed. I think we all knew that was going to be happening. But do I make any changes to this team? Like, we're going to have the same team this season and the same team next season. Our top guys are definitely performing. Bedard, 81 points. Connor McDavid, 76 points. Cutter Gaucher, 62. Brady Tkachuk, not going to lie, you're a bit of a disappointment so far. Only 56 points, but you're plus 21, so I'll take it. When it comes to our goaltending, obviously this isn't going to be that great. We're splitting starts between these two guys, and neither of them have good numbers. But you know what? When the postseason comes around, I just need you to put up like a 900 save percentage, and then we'll be able to win. So I guess the question is, do we make a trade here and push for a Stanley Cup? I don't think we can win right now. I'm going to be completely honest. I think it's going to take us one more season. So we're not going to make any trades here. We're going to make sure that we hold on to all of our assets, and then next season we'll make a massive push. Now, I said I wasn't going to make any trades, but then I saw Jacob Chikrin on the trade block, and he really doesn't have that much value. He's an 87 overall at 28 years old. We would be able to have him on the team next season as well. We're going to have to give up Nick Hague in this deal, but I think this is actually the move. Jacob Chikrin would be a very good upgrade for our defense here. It would certainly make us better. So Nick Hague in a 2nd round pick, that's not going to be enough. What else do I have to give up here? If I give you Boston's 3rd round pick, is that going to be enough for us to get Jacob Chikrin? They're still going to be saying no to that. How about 2 third rounders? I'll give you the Washington Capitals 3rd round pick for 2028, and then is that going to be enough? They're saying no to that, but we're about to get this deal done. A 4th round pick is going to make the difference. Maybe not. Maybe the lucrative 7th round pick can, and it looks like Ottawa's going to be saying yes to that. So all that nonsense I said about me not making a deal, we just completed one. So after the trade deadline, the Moncton Tigers had a massive collapse once again. We're going to be dropping to 6th in the entire league here. Very similar to last season. We were looking amazing at the trade deadline, then absolutely everything fell apart for us. But a 48-win season, I can definitely live with that. The biggest issue I have is the fact that we don't play good defense here. But then again, I think we already knew that with the goaltenders we had. Our offense has taken a massive step back, and that really surprised me. Like, I thought Jacob Chikrin would do big things for this team. Connor Bedard, Connor McDavid, Cutter Gaucher, they're the big 3 here. They're leading the way. But I'm very curious to see what Jacob Chikrin did since joining the team. I'm not really expecting too much from him, but he is playing some top pairing minutes. He picked up 9 points in 19 games. He was plus 6 in the process. Do I move him down to the 2nd pairing? Like Brady Shea, when he was playing on the top pairing, he was looking fantastic. But Jacob Chikrin hasn't really lived up to the hype here. Then again, he did have a positive plus minus with the team, so we have to take that into consideration. I think the big difference was the fact that we just didn't have good goaltending. Like, cut to the chase, we have 63 overall goaltenders. We can only do so much. There is one thing I do want to get: revenge. I want to get revenge against the Carolina Hurricanes. We're going to get to take them on the 1st round here. Moncton, I need you to show up when it matters. Now, Moncton, these are the biggest games of this season right here, and I need you to show up against the Carolina Hurricanes. We're going to be taking game 1 away, and we're taking game 3, so we're already off to a better start than we were last postseason. A massive 6-2 victory. Can we close it out in game number 5 here? It doesn't look like it. We have to allow 5 goals, and hopefully we don't allow 6 in game number 6. We're not going to be allowing 6, but we still are going to be dropping that one. So here we go. We got ourselves game 7 between the Moncton Tigers and Carolina Hurricanes. It's a scoreless first period. in the second, we got to take over. We're picking up 2 goals, both from Cutter Gaucher, but Carolina, they're also picking up 2 goals. The third period is going to decide this one. We're losing once again. DiGiuseppe's going to pick up the lone third period goal, and that's going to be ending Moncton's run early once again here. At the end of the day, it's defense. The defense just didn't step up. The goaltending wasn't good enough here. But you know what I also think it was? The fact that our offense just didn't produce. Connor Bedard, you were below a point a game here. Connor McDavid, you were below a point a game. The only guy above a point a game, Daniel Sprong. He stepped up in the big time games, but it shouldn't be Daniel Sprong leading the way. It should be Connor McDavid and it should be Connor Bedard. Daniel Rosengren, you were actually good. Like, I can't believe I'm saying these words. You were actually good during the postseason. The save percentage was an 894. Yeah, that's not the best in the world, but a 288, we should be able to win with that. We should be able to go the first round with the 288. But you know what? I guess it's not happening for Moncton, and once again, we're falling in the first round. But next season, things are going to be different. Okay, this was just a very wild Stanley Cup final. We're going to have the 4th seeded Vancouver Canucks being a wildcard team, taking on another wildcard team, the Anaheim Ducks, in the conference finals. Over in the Eastern Conference, we had the 3rd seeded Montreal Canadiens taking on the New York Rangers, who were the best team in the entire league. Montreal proceeds to sweep the New York Rangers. Then we're going to see a wildcard team in the Vancouver Canucks taking down Montreal in 7 games. That's a wild Stanley Cup final, to say the least. Alright, I haven't lost my mind here. I'll explain this trade later, but I have to get it done with the Chicago Blackhawks. Now, you're probably thinking, stick on the ice, you've absolutely lost your mind. Why would you make a deal like that? Well, you're going to see this guy right here. That's why I made that trade. I don't know how we've done it. I don't know how it's even possible, but we just got ourselves a medium franchise potential player. He's a right winger, 82 overall, and he's a power forward. That's actually incredibly useful because I was going to trade this guy for a power forward, but he happens to be a power forward. Okay, this is working out way better than I was expecting. I actually didn't even pay attention to what his position was. This guy could have been a franchise potential goaltender for all I knew, but I made all of these trades to acquire the 1st overall pick, because then if I want to trade this guy away, I can trade him away and get a million other assets. Am I going to do that? I'm actually not too sure yet because he is an 82 overall. He can immediately jump to the lineup for us, and then we'll have him under contract for the next 3 years, and he'll be really cheap. This guy could be incredibly useful for us. Also, we just got a mediumly potential goaltender, so a win is a win here. We have one more pick in the draft here, but do I trade this franchise potential star? Like, I could trade this guy away, probably get a handful of assets, give me this low top 6 potential player. I really don't care. Do I trade him away? Like, if I trade him away, I'm going to be taking on some money here, so do I have enough cap space to take on that money? I'm not really too sure. At the end of the day, I think a lot of things are going to depend on who's available in free agency. If we see a guy like Quinn Hughes or Cale Makar available in free agency, then I'll probably keep that franchise potential player because it's going to be cheap for a handful of years. So what do we have to do here? Matt Coronado, I'm probably not going to re-sign you. You're looking for $3.5 million. I'm just going to qualify you as an RFA. We'll probably trade you away. Tomasino, I'll try to keep you on this team if you're looking for a cheap deal. I don't really want to do 2.5 million. How about 2.3? We can do 2.3 for the next 3 years. If you say no to that, I'll qualify you as an RFA and then trade you away. So hopefully Tomasino's sticking around. Yes, he is. But we're going to make some big moves here and we're winning a Stanley Cup this season. All right, we had to change the trade package a lot here. But now Pietrangelo, a prospect, Wenberg, Steele, and a second round pick is going to be sent over to Buffalo. And we're getting this deal done. But now that we've made this deal, we still have to make a handful more trades. So as I mentioned earlier, Matt Savoy's not going to be sticking on this team because there's not really a place for him. But you know what? He might not be the only playmaker traded. Because Michael Misa, why are you starting off as an 87 overall? Like, I know Bro got drafted 2 years ago, but did you really spend 2 years in juniors, get up to an 87 overall, and now we're going to trade Matt Savoy for him? I guess that's exactly what's happening here. So he's going to be incredibly cheap for the next 3 years. Like, we're paying Bro less than $1 million. So I guess the real question is, do we need Dylan Strome now? Because I could technically trade him away and free up another $4 million. And I think that's probably going to happen. But first, I want to utilize these first round picks we got from the Buffalo Sabres. Kane Lidstrom, you're going to be picked up from the Philadelphia Flyers here. You're going to be a great bottom 6 piece for us, but you're not the only guy we're trading for. Now, this is going to be the second deal. It's going to be Dylan Strome and a first round pick for Dylan Guenther. Dylan Guenther is getting paid $4.2 million for the next 2 years. The plan is to win a Stanley Cup in the next 2 years. If we don't win over the next 2 years, then I think this challenge might be impossible. They're saying no to that. I'll take out this third rounder. Give me the 2 draft picks you're okay with getting rid of. They're saying no to that. Give me at least 1 third round pick. Okay, the fact that we're not getting any draft compensation back is a bit wild, and the fact that we have to give up more than Dylan Strome and a first round pick is even wilder. So here's a 4th round pick as well. That's going to be enough for Dylan Guenther. We're building a super team here. All right, so this is what we're going to cook up here. Matt Coronado will bring you back on a 1-year deal at $3.7 million. So you're sticking around for this season. Borgren, you'll walk for next season. Luke Misa, I'm assuming I can re-sign you for pretty cheap here. We'll do a 3-year deal at $1.1 million. All the important pieces are sticking around for the next 2 years. So we're definitely going to be winning over the next 2 years. Whether it's this season or next season, I'm not too sure. But you know what? This team's going to be hoisting a Stanley Cup pretty quick. Now, just looking at this team, I have a hard time believing we're not going to bring home a Stanley Cup. Connor McDavid, Connor Bedard, Tage Thompson, Dylan Gunther, Michael Misa, Karagoshi on the second line, Caden Lindstrom 86 overall, Tomasino 82, Daniel Sprong 87, 85, 79, 84. That's our offensive core. And you might think, oh, the defense has to be weak. Jacob Chikrin 87, Brandon Montour 86, Brett Pesci 87, Bo Byram 88. We got an 80 overall Knezhov, 82 overall Borgren on our third pairing. Yeah, the defense is pretty good. Obviously, we know the goaltending's bad, 264 overalls, but with the offense looking as good as it is and the defense looking absolutely amazing, I don't think goaltending is really going to matter too much. I mean, goaltending doesn't really matter when we're talking about the difference between an 85 and an 87 or an 83 and an 84. Like, I'm really comparing a 64 overall goaltender to like an 87 overall goaltender. Yeah, goaltending matters, but maybe not as much as we think. All right, I know we have bad goaltending. That's not much of a surprise, but 7th in the entire league at the trade deadline. How are we not outscoring our problems here? Like, we have the best team on paper, no question about it. Yes, we don't have goaltenders that can make saves, but that's neither here nor there. This team right here should be good enough. Connor Bedard plus 11, Connor McDavid minus 3, Michael Misa plus 19. These numbers make absolutely no sense to me. Yes, our goaltending is very bad. There is no question about that. But you're telling me this team right here, like that offensive core, cannot outscore our problems? It's ridiculous. It's honestly ridiculous. But in saying that, I believe in what we have here. I think we have an incredible team, and I'm going to rock with the team we have. We're not making any moves at the deadline. So to finish out the season, the Moncton Tigers actually look good after the trade deadline. Very rarely does that happen. We're 6th in the entire league, a 48-29-5 record, but I have to point something out here. The Boston Bruins, a team that finished a couple points back of us, had a worse defense. They allowed 272 goals. We allowed 271. Our defense compared to the rest of the league is bad, but maybe it's not as bad as I thought. Our offense is elite. We're scoring goals. How did the Colorado Avalanche outscore us? I have no clue. How did the Toronto Maple Leafs outscore us? I don't know. This game makes no sense, but that's neither here nor there. The big time players are stepping up when they have to. Connor Bedard, amazing, 108 points. McDavid, amazing, 89 points. Tage Thompson, 80. Michael Misa, 71. The plus minuses are a massive improvement after the trade deadline. We're here to win. The goaltending numbers on this team, still terrible, an 890 and a 339 and an 896 and a 303. Which of these goaltenders do I want in between the pipes? I don't really care. I don't think it really matters too much. All that matters is we can outscore our opponent. We have the New York Rangers in the first round. We don't have to worry about taking on the Carolina Hurricanes, and now that we don't have to take on Carolina, I think it's going to be a breeze making it to the Stanley Cup final. Now that I've said that, we're allowing 10 goals in game 1. So let's make a statement right here. Let's not only beat the New York Rangers, let's sweep this team. We're winning game 1. We're winning game... Okay, we're actually going to sweep this team. No way we're actually sweeping the New York Rangers. Alright, we're about to blow a 3-0 series lead, aren't we? I've seen this before, but maybe not. The Moncton Tigers winning in 5 games here. Something's different about this team. Nah, but in all seriousness, how did we just take down the New York Rangers in a 5-game series? The Rangers were better than us the entire year. They were ahead of us in the standings, but Moncton showed up when it mattered. We now have the wild card Tampa Bay Lightning to take on the second round, but we have to remember, Tampa Bay, they still got Vasilevsky, so there's no question about it, they got a better goaltender than us. So we can't take the Tampa Bay Lightning lightly. This team's clearly a good team if they're making it to the second round, taking down the number 1 seed Columbus Blue Jackets. We're going back and forth with Tampa Bay right now. They've taken 2 games, we've taken 2 games. Game 5 is going to be a massive one, and the Moncton Tigers coming out on top. Can we close out in game 6? No, ain't no way we're making it to the conference finals here. We're legit. So just looking at the teams remaining here, you can make the argument this is a Mickey Mouse Stanley Cup playoff. The 3-seeded Moncton Tigers taking on the 2-seeded Toronto Maple Leafs. Over in the Western Conference, we have the 3rd-seeded Edmonton Oilers taking on the 3rd-seeded Winnipeg Jets. All the number 1 seeds have been eliminated. There's only one number 2 seed left. Mickey Mouse run or not, we're winning a Stanley Cup. So on paper, the Toronto Maple Leafs are the best team remaining. So if we can beat the Toronto Maple Leafs, we can win the Stanley Cup. And you know what? I refuse to believe the Toronto Maple Leafs can beat us. But you know what? Anything can happen because we don't have goaltending here. But so far, things are looking decent. 1 game away from the Stanley Cup final, but now we need game 7. We're going to be losing a crucial game number 6. It all comes down to 1 game. So here we go. Game 7. The Moncton Tigers taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs. We're picking up the first 2 goals of the game. We're picking up another 2 in the second period. It was sheer dominance, and we won this game because of a shutout. I don't know who our goaltender is. I don't know which of the 2 goaltenders we're rocking with, but you know what? That man just picked up a shutout. We shut out the Toronto Maple Leafs in the conference finals. You lost to a 64 overall goaltender. That's worse than losing to a Zamboni driver. Now, normally I would be scared of the Edmonton Oilers. Like, they're an elite team. They could definitely rock with us, but they don't have Connor McDavid anymore. We have Connor McDavid. And who else do we have? We have Connor Bedard. We have the 2 best Connors in the league, and we're taking on a Connor McDavid-less Edmonton Oilers. This might be a sweep. So the next 7 games are going to decide who's our Stanley Cup champion. But you know what? I don't think we need 7 games. Let's just do this in a sweep. We actually did that. We really won a Stanley Cup with a 64 overall goaltender. Tage Thompson, you were him during the postseason. 12 goals, 16 assists for 28 points. You were absolutely locked in. Connor Bedard, 21 points. Michael Misa, 20. Connor McDavid, 20. Dylan Gunther, 18. Look at the amazing scoring. That's why we won a Stanley Cup here. And the goaltending numbers, Marcus Rusu, probably said that name wrong, but it doesn't matter. This man's a legend. 16 wins, 1 shutout, a 908 and a 298. We won a Stanley Cup with this man right here. A 64 overall goaltender. Our backup, a 63 overall. He actually declined 1 overall throughout the season, but that doesn't matter. We're Stanley Cup champions, and we basically did it without a goaltender. A 64 overall goaltender, and we won a Stanley Cup. If you build a dominant team, you're going to be able to win, and that's exactly what we did with the Moncton Tigers here. I think you can say we completed the impossible.